I've been avoiding doing this for a while now, and it's finally been really put on my heart that I need to start sharing some more in depth things about what the Lord has done for me. If you don't know me or you're new here, hi, my name is Charlie, and I would like to share a little bit about my background. I feel like that would be a good first video so you can understand my story as a whole as I continue to share more things about what the Lord has done for me. I found that it's really easy to share information when you're not willing to attach your face to the information. If you follow me on social media and you've known me my whole life, you'll know that there has been a big shift in my life in about the last year and a half. And you're probably like, what happened to that girl all of a sudden? If you don't currently believe in Jesus, I just recommend having an open mind because that's what got me to where I am now, and I wouldn't regret a single minute of it. Before I start with anything, especially my childhood part, I just want you to know that everything led to where I am now. So, I don't hold anything against anyone for what they did or should have did in my life because the Lord had it planned to happen right now. He knew the hearts of everybody around me, and He knew that I would get to this point where I am right now. So, I guess to start with my childhood, I grew up in a family that went to church. And like I said, this is not like bashing any of my family, but it kind of ended at going to church and then you go home and resume your daily life. I know a lot of people can relate to that because I have heard so many people basically say that was their experience and that is why they don't believe in Jesus. Because it was just a thing that you did on Sundays and it ended at that and it didn't enter the home. There was no room for Jesus to do the work because He only had you on Sundays. And if you are falling asleep during the service, then the Lord can do miraculous things, but you also have to do your part too. So, as I grew up, went to church on Sundays, I was put in a catechism class, and I basically just got through it by winging my way. I don't even know how I got through it, honestly, but everybody was super proud of me, and I was just like, I don't even know what I learned from this. My heart wasn't in the right heart posture to accept any teachings of Jesus. There were influences around me, but they felt very forced. And coming from a perspective of a person now that has found Jesus and really wants that for everybody else around her, I can understand the desire to want to push it so hard on your family, your friends, because you just want them to understand and feel and be changed in the way that you were because you know how amazing your life can be. So, anyways, I had a few of those people that actually ended up pushing me further away. And this is why I myself try to reflect on myself on a daily of how I am acting and how I am trying to bring the people around me closer to Jesus without shoving it down their throat, because that is the one thing that actually pushed me so far away that you'll see where I ended up in my later years. But so that was like my teenage years, and I didn't really know what I believed. And I knew there was a God because other people were telling me. And that's what I was expected to believe, by my family and the people around me, because that's what I grew up as, and that was the right way to go, Not because I wanted to and I felt that in my heart. I didn't feel any of it in my heart, so that's why I didn't believe it. And then I went off to college and I took a religion course as part of one of my electives, and I learned a lot about other religions, and then it started getting me thinking, if I think Buddhism, and there was another one that I was heavily interested in. There was a few things that I was but the other stuff seemed good. And so I didn't fully resonate with it, but that alone just got me thinking about oh, there's other ways of like thinking about religion. Spoiler alert, that's just what it is religion, not relationship, but we'll get to that later. So from there, I'm sure a lot of people get into this a lot sooner than I did, but I ended up getting into smoking. I don't know if I can say that word if I'm going to post this on socials. I know it's like a common thing for like high schoolers and like college people to do, but I never really got into it until I started to wonder about like, what is this world? What is this life? And I heard that, smoking could help open your mind to things and like show you things that other people can't see. And that's how I got into New Age spirituality, which, if you don't know, is a form of witchcraft. And it doesn't seem like it is, just because they market it. Satan markets it as light, love, light, and acceptance. That is like their whole thing. Before I get into this part, I do just want to make a note that if you know somebody that is involved with this, not to come at them and try to make them feel bad about how they're living their life, because it could push them further into what they're doing. And they don't understand right now the chains that are on them, dragging them down. We can't take a log out of our brother's eye until we take the log out of our own eye. So make sure that you are completely righteous before you go ahead and judge somebody else. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't share the truth, but I feel like it has to be done in a particular way. And sometimes there isn't anything that we can do, and we have to just continue to pray about it and leave it to God. Like, that's sometimes the best thing that you can do for somebody. If the Lord is calling you to plant a seed in somebody, plant it and be done with it. And just know that the Lord will water it. Maybe somebody will come along to do something else to it and help it grow. But do what the Lord asks of you and leave it alone, because He has a plan in the works for whoever it is, just like He did me. So I don't think that I was like super open about what I was doing. And I'm not sure if this friend knew about everything that I was doing. Otherwise, for standing from a mindset of where I'm at now, I would have hoped that she would have said something to me about it. But so I'm just my memory is not super great, and honestly, that's why I journal so much about what the Lord does for me, so that I can remember and reshare my testimonies. Probably about like 2 years ago, I feel like this is when my seed was planted. So this is an example of how subtle you can be and obedient you can be to the Lord just for yourself and affect somebody unknowingly. So we were out with this couple that we were friends with, and we regularly hung out. And I don't know how I didn't see this before, but we were out to eat, and the man was sitting across from me, and he just quickly prayed over his food before we ate. And I caught it out of the corner of my eye. He wasn't doing it for attention. He wasn't doing it to say, "Oh, look, I pray over my food." He was just doing it out of his own free will, because that's what he felt was right for himself and wanted to do that. I'm sure to also show respect to the Lord, that you care about praying over your food. Okay, well, anyways. So I sat on that, and it kept coming back to me for weeks. And I just couldn't get it out of my head. Like, why did he care so much to do that without like making a show of it or like recognition about that he did that? And it just was like really mind boggling me. And keep in mind, like, I'm still like invested in this New Age spirituality, and putting crystals under the moon to give them certain powers to do this or that. Honestly, I don't remember all of what I did. I just know that what seems so innocent. If something does result of that, just know that it is not because of your power, it is not because of the moon's power, it's because of Satan. He makes things happen so that you can believe that these crystals work, but you're actually drawing power from Satan. And that's why, Satan often masquerades himself as light, and that is the title based, that is like the mascot of New Age spirituality is light. You basically worship yourself, the moon, sun, stars. You believe that tarot cards can predict your future and stuff like that. And that is all directly, there has to be a power source for everything, right? And it really all comes down to either are you pulling from the Holy Spirit or are you pulling from Satan? And if it's pulling you further away from the Lord, you're pulling from Satan. I guess that could be an easy way to determine that. So then as weeks went on, I got invited to a Bible study. And because my friend was a part of it, I decided to go. So at this point, I don't consider myself saved. I just wanted to learn more about it. And my friend that I cared so deeply about, she was a part of this Bible study. So I just wanted to go. And quite honestly, this revelation has come to me about a month ago, but it has come to my attention that I idolized this person. This was a friend, and my idolization was so strong that the Lord wanted to do things in my life, and the Lord knew I wouldn't have moved to the house that I'm currently in, which is very far away from this person, if I was still friends with her, because then my purpose would have been delayed, and I wouldn't be where I am right now. And maybe this is just, maybe I'm not correct, whatever, but I believe that the Lord maybe allowed strife between us so that it would be easier for me to say, okay, let's get the heck out of here, because I was brought to such a low point in my life where I just didn't understand anything that was going on. And I've been through breakups, and I was usually the one to break up with somebody. There was this one time though that somebody had broke my heart, and I cried for every day for a month straight. And this situation topped that, worse than that. And I'm not sure if anybody could relate to that, but when you're very close to somebody and then you're not, it almost feels like they died. That I'm not saying this to hate at all. I have thought a lot about this situation, and I am, in a way, happy that the Lord allowed it to happen. Me and this person don't talk anymore, but we have, I guess you could say reconciled, I think, anyway. I don't feel hostile feelings anymore about the situation, because I know that I couldn't be where I'm at right now if it didn't happen. And I want you to take that with bad things that happen in your life, and just know that the Lord is trying to teach you something or help you learn something, or just leading you to where he wants you to be, to follow in his will. And so back to my story anyways, I was at such a low point in my life, and I really didn't, and thankfully I was introduced to Jesus, but I wasn't fully there yet. I didn't commit my life to him like I am trying to now. So I guess you could say I was lukewarm, I knew things, but I wasn't invested. So I just remember, this is so embarrassing, but I was sitting in the corner crying, I didn't have any, I just sat in the corner and cried for hours. And I think finally McCoy decided to pray over me, and I also called on Jesus, Jesus, I don't have anywhere else to go, fine, let's do your will for my life. Because at this point, McCoy, he had stepped away from his job because this intermingled with everything that was going on in my life, and so we were jobless. and we didn't know what was going on in any part of our life, and it was honestly really scary. So we just decided, Lord, all right, we don't got no friends anymore. We don't got no jobs. There is nothing tying us to this location anymore. I think I'm finally ready to just say, okay, take me wherever you want me. And because before, where our apartment was, I was determined to find a place in that area because I wanted to be as far away as possible from, this sounds so bad, but my family. um I didn't want things pushed on me. I didn't want to be controlled in any way, just from my childhood. And I'm really sorry if, you know, one of my parents or family is watching this, but that's not me anymore. A part of me doing this video is I want to be truthful to give people the whole story just in case there is somebody that was in my position. Where they can get to is better than anything you could imagine. And so about a month later after I said that, maybe less, I can't remember quite, but my dad calls me up. He calls me up and he says, I have a surprise for you. Come up to your hometown and I'll show it to you. He didn't like have something for me, but he wanted to show something to me, and it is the house that I'm in right now. And he took us around the driveway. My dad had knocked on the door to see if the old man lived here was home, because he was going to ask if we could just straight up look in his house and if he was ready to sell it. I didn't know my dad was planning on doing that. Turns out the guy was in the nursing home, so he wasn't able to do that anyway. But then the next week, actually, on a Thursday, they were doing an auction here, selling all of the man's like belongings. And then on Friday, they were gonna discuss, like the family was gonna discuss what they were gonna do with the house, and just like that sort of thing. So when we found that out, my mom went on investigator mode, found out how to get a hold of the kids, and we ended up setting, a showing to come look at the house on a Friday. And so I had brought this prayer that I wrote a long time ago with me, and it had checked off every box on the list, and actually more, that I had prayed for, because I had wrote down what my perfect house would look like, and I basically knew from the moment that we walked in here that this was the house. And we had toured many houses while we were living, where we used to live. And nothing just felt right to me and McCoy. Like, of course, my mom was just trying to get us in the house, and she just wanted us to be happy with something. And we just never were. It just didn't feel right. And then we walk in this house, and it's like, I think this is what has been waiting for us. And it was just such a crazy feeling. And then I panic set in, because I'm like, okay, are we gonna get this? Like, what if somebody else like outbids us by like a ton or whatever? And they didn't even put it on the market. They allowed us to just, buy it. And to 100% make sure that we were following in the Lord's will for our lives, because that had become very important to me now after all of the events that had taken place. I just really, really wanted to make sure this is where He wanted us. So this was in my hometown, but I was starting to really not care, because, if this is what the Lord had for us, all right. But to just make sure, we offered a significant amount lower for like our offer to them. And it was so like our lower offer was lower to the point where most people would be like, well, if they're asking that, they'd never accept what you're offering. Like, multiple people said that. But they ended up accepting. And then later in the process, we actually ended up getting it for less than we even offered. Not to say that it wasn't expensive, but either way, it's just absolutely wild that I'm here. Like, and And then I just want to tell one more story quick, just to really finish it off. So then my brother had told us about this church that actually is right up the road from our house. Cause, then I was wondering, I'm like, I wonder if the Lord is going to like have our church like close to us, or if like we're going to have to like travel a long ways to find like the perfect church that we're meant to be at. Cause I was pretty convinced that, the Lord had a specific church that he was going to want us to be at. And, I hadn't went to church since I was a child. And, that was me going to church because I was forced to. And now I want to find a church and go to it because I want to. So it was actually like such a special thing to even have the desire to want to be a part of a church. Not only just go to church, but like be like a part of the church. And, anyways, so the first time that we were looking for a church, we actually did go, we went to a church in this town that McCoy, one of his friends, knew about. And so we went there and we thought it was great, but we just didn't feel like it was the Lord telling us like this is the one. So we just took that as, we got to keep looking. So then in the middle of the week, my brother had texted me or had told McCoy that there's this church right up the road from us and he knows the pastor, and the pastor's like super amazing. And my brother didn't attend this church, but he knew him from doing work for the church, like excavating. And so I went and looked them up on their like Facebook, and I found their YouTube, and I had listened to their past sermon, and I immediately felt the Holy Spirit with the sermon that I watched, and I was like, oh, this like sounds promising. Like, okay, let's try it out. They had mentioned in the video that they were actually doing baptisms too, and at this point, me and McCoy have definitely like been feeling like we've been born again, like we want to take the next step in this. Like, what is the next step after like you have really accepted Jesus into your heart, into your life? And baptism was something that we were looking at already, and we just didn't know like how we were going to do it or like where we were going to do it. And we were like, okay, well, if this is the church that the Lord wants us at, we're going to get baptized too. And so I had said a prayer like, Lord, like if this is the church, like tell the pastor there's going to be 2 more for baptizing, like getting baptized. And like I just, wanted the pastor to be like prepared if this was really, really going to happen. And, the Lord knows what's going to happen. So we get there and we both feel the Holy Spirit so strong in this church, and we know this is where we belong. And, so me and McCoy look at each other at the end of the service and be like, yeah, okay. So we go up to the pastor and ask to be baptized, and we say we understand like if it's too late to sign up or whatever. And he's like, no, like, yeah, like have you accepted Jesus, like into your heart? And if so, then yes. So we had to go home and change quick because we just wore like church clothes. We weren't prepared for him to say yes to us, honestly, to get baptized. So we had to go run home and change quick to clothes that were more suitable for being baptized. And when we came back, so this guy named Jeff, he comes up to us. He is considered a deacon. Honestly, I don't even know what that means, but I just figured I should say it because he's like really close to pastor, so he would know this information. But he said that last night, pastor said the Lord told him that there would be 2 more and that he would need 2 more baptism certificates. And at that point, my mouth was like, what? Like, that's wild. And I mean, if you've been walking with the Lord for quite some time, you know that like that's just what he does. We get baptized, and that is our church. And like I just feel like the Lord had all these things like lined up for us, because then afterwards we found this amazing group that we go to every other Monday, where we've connected with a lot of younger people our age, a lot of them have kids, but we've become like friends with them. And so Lord not only gave us an amazing house, the perfect church, and also a community. And I just want you to know that like life can get so much better when you just say yes to Jesus. And I truly mean that with my whole entire heart. I never thought that I'd be sitting here doing this video, being obedient to the Lord. First of all, because this is definitely taking obedience to Him to sit down and do this. I tried to film a video a few months ago, closer to when we first moved in the house, but it just didn't feel right. I felt like there were some things in my heart that I still had to work through about before talking about my story. But now I have a much more open mind and open heart to situations that have happened. And so, yeah, I hope that this somehow inspires somebody, encourages somebody. I pray that this reaches the right person or right people that need to hear it. Yeah, so this is a new thing. I've already got my podcast. I'll probably actually put this on my podcast too. But this is meant for social media. In my head, I guess TikTok was a big one that I was thinking of, but I know that I should probably post it on my personal stuff too, which are public, as well. So hopefully this can reach whoever needs to hear it. But yeah, I hope you have a beautiful day, and don't forget to reflect the sun.